And Richie Wood has done it again! The magic man has come up with another trick! Well, here's a chance to seal it! It's done! It's Georgie Kelly! Rotherham United's pathway back to the Championship is opening up!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. Welcome to the Rotherham United podcast. I hope you're all doing better than you were on Wednesday evening. This could be quite a packed show we've got ahead of us. Burnley's boys did their very best and overcame a 10-man Rotherham, so hats off to them for that achievement. We will go through everything that occurred, most of what occurred on Wednesday evening. And we'll try and fit in a preview of Norwich, to be honest with you. I don't know how much time we're going to have tonight. But we will do everything we can to fit everything in, because there's a lot of feeling and thoughts going to be going around, I think, on this episode. Mick, how are you doing?
I'm just looking at the camera as I can see myself on screen here, and I look very red.
You do look very red.
I don't really know why that is.
I wonder why. Danny, how are you doing today?
I direct everybody to the quote from the In-Betweeners movie, and that's all I'm going to say. I like football, but not Burnley. And then I won't repeat what else is said. But if you know the quote, you know the quote.
Yes, there are 5 goals to talk about. Plenty of incident in between all 5 of those goals. Yeah. I honestly don't know where to start, to be honest with you. Let's start with a positive. There's going to be lots of negative in this episode, not just about Rotherham United, to be honest with you. There's going to be plenty of negativity. Let's start with a shock start, Danny, to the game. Let's power positivity on where we can. There are bits to pick out of this game, quite a lot to pick out, to be honest with you, of positive. Starting with Ben Wiles getting his first goal of the season, and Brook Norton-Guffey, I think his first good cross of the season. And it was a beautiful cross and an amazing finish. So to get us underway that way, that was a brilliant start to the game, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think everybody more or less just settled into the seats after coming out from underneath the stand, and then we're 1-0 up. So that certainly put Burnley's noses out a little bit, more or less from, what was it, the second minute or something that Wilesy scored in?
Yeah.
And of course, it was Wilesy, the man Burnley wanted to sign and put, I think, a 2 million bid in for, and then he scores against him. So, of course, it is. But yeah, like I said, brilliant cross from Norton-Guffey, and then a good header from Wilesy as well. I think it was a header. I'm still a little bit fuzzy because I didn't see which body part it connected with. I just saw the net ripple, and then everybody just surged over me. It was like just a wave of limbs went over me when we scored. Well, yeah, what a fantastic opening. And I think at least for the first 20 minutes or so, Burnley looked on the back foot. Like, they looked very shaky in that 6-yard box. And I do think we unnerved them a little bit, but I think the quality showed in the end for Burnley, and the not so quality of somebody else as well. But we'll get onto that in a bit. But yeah, to go 1-0 up against top of the league in the opening 2 minutes, that's a statement in itself, and I think it wobbled Burnley a little bit as well.
Yeah, it did. They weren't expecting little old Rotherham to come up that hard with it, Mick, to be honest.
I don't think they were. I think it weren't it 2 minutes 45 seconds, just long enough to eat your hot dog.
I can't imagine anybody at Burnley eating a hot dog, to be honest with you, during watching football.
Mate,
anyway.
Listen, that's not what Vinny says, is it? So, you know. Yeah, good. It was good. It was good to get that early goal in and that early strike in and just come out and be on front foot.
Very positive.
If we'd done that at Coventry, I'm talking Danny's disease. If we'd done that at Cardiff, we'd have been 7-0 up at half time. And that's a lesson learned for Matt Taylor, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I thought Ben Wiles had in general a much better game, Danny. I think I'm going to come on to other stuff in a minute, but this I'm going to say something which I said about Rotherham on day one of the season. This has got to be his start point. This can't be where he goes back to the way he was. This has got to be right. This is the base. This is what the minimum is. What else you got, Wilesy? Because that helps Rathbone. It helps Barlasser. It helps everybody else in the team. It just takes the pressure off. And if that Ben Wiles turns up now every week between now and when he eventually leaves, we'll be playing sailing.
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying for a bit, he just needed that goal to settle himself, and hopefully now that he has grabbed that goal and his confidence level will go up from it. Like we were talking on the last show about mental state and where he's at and everything. Hopefully that goal has settled him, and he did crack on from that as well. He did play very, very well. Should have got a blatant foul later on in the game that the IUFC pointed out, but again, we'll talk about an individual later. But yeah, hopefully this is Wilesy's kick-on point now, and he's like, right, I know I am capable of this, and I need to get to that as well in future games. And hopefully it's not just a one-off that he's played well against a team that wanted to sign him just to put him in the shop window again. Hopefully that's not the case at all. And we see a different Wilesy against Norwich, against Sheffield United, even against Luton, where he does have that pressing intent, but also that awareness to find space in the box in that position just behind Washington, which actually sort of worked for him, didn't it? That little more of an attacking role in behind the lone striker did really work for Wilesy. I don't know if that's something we'll try away from home more than at home itself, but we'll have to wait and see. But Wilesy certainly likes that position.
He did. Yeah, I thought he had a really good game. So hopefully he continues that. Paramount UK says, I just hope that Wilesy stays for months like me, not start thinking he's shown Burnley now what he's got and then he can wait. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Let's move on. Stephen Adams says, I can take a defeat when it's fair, but not when I feel I've been cheated. Dave Loughton says, evening, still fuming. Phil Rowlandson has turned in just for the ref rant. How did you know there were going to be a ref rant today? How did you know that? Obviously, we always come to start with on these type of things. Let's start with the first goal, Mick. There was a foul in the build-up. Ben Wiles got essentially tripped over, kicked in the chest, whichever side of the scale you want to go on. But there was a foul in the build-up on Ben Wiles to the goal. First goal.
Whichever of those two fouls that happen, one after the other, you want to pick. Yeah. I mean, the first one is Ben Wiles is bent down slightly, but only slightly, and chested the ball down onto the floor, and then he's kicked in chest. And the referee is looking directly at it, and he is no more than 10 yards away. It's a clear foul. But just to compound that, he's then tripped up. However, which is also a clear foul, and it's not given, and then they go on and score. It's just, I mean, that in and of itself, just that one decision is quite a remarkable decision, and for me, probably the worst of the lot, I think, because there's no confusion there. There can't be any sort of any doubt. It is a clear and obvious foul, to use the VAR terminology, and he's just not given it. And yet, during the course of the game, for both sides, he's given much less. So yeah, I mean, maybe there's an argument we could have perhaps defended it a little bit better, but the ball in and the ball back across were excellent. They were top quality.
They stretched it, didn't it? They stretched everything so that it became.
That should never have happened.
Yeah.
That should never have happened because we should be taking a free kick and the ball should have been in their area, not ours. So, and that's not to say they wouldn't have got a goal. Obviously, they would because they did, and they even. I mean, to be fair, they even managed a non-controversial goal out of the three that they scored, which is going to be a bonus. 1 out of 3 ain't bad, is it? I suppose. But that kind of then started to set the tone for Lee Doughty's performance from that point onwards, really, and it just deteriorated from then on.
It did. Shelley RFC says, foul aside, who's picking up Rodriguez? For me, Danny, it's one of those things that the ball across where where he obviously went over Nottingham's head, was a stunning ball. I think it was Goodmanson with the ball. It was a brilliant ball. And the header back across is probably even better because it's just high enough, only just high enough to get over the keeper. It was probably going to go in anyway. Aside from the foul, I don't necessarily have a problem with the defending. I think we did the best we could. They're always going to have that little bit of quality. Look at the players they've got. They're always going to have that something. And from that point, I don't necessarily mind the defensive side of it. What do you think?
I mean, Rodriguez basically heads it in as it's on the line.
Yeah.
Done too early. I made the initial call that it was offside when he brought the header over the goalkeeper, which I haven't had a chance to look at it back. I have had people and a qualified referee say to me, I thought it were offside in that situation.
I thought it was at first, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway. Yeah, so like I say, I'm not really fussed about the defensive side of it because the defensive side, Rodriguez has obviously made that run forwards. And I don't think even the goalkeeper, even Victor's expecting the ball to be headed over him and then headed in by somebody else. Like I say, it was probably going in anyway. But yeah, I mean, defensively, we were okay, I thought, against. But to say we were playing against a team that has such majesty about itself, being top of the league and better than every team in this division, I tell you what, we really gave them a game, didn't we? I think if you take away the refereeing aspect and some questionable ideas, shall we say, on the touchline and maybe a sub or two, on the pitch itself, we gave Burnley one heck of a game. To say it was relegated from the Premier League against promoted from League One, I couldn't tell there was much difference in them two teams unless you were to put the players' fees on paper. Like I've already mentioned, we completely rattled them after the first goal. We caused them all sorts of problems within their own 6-yard box to the point where it was actually surprising how lost their back line looked in the 6-yard box, especially in the early stages. And even the equaliser, it didn't really help them that much because as soon as Chio came on, he came in and poked in another one.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Rodriguez's goal, I think, yeah, like I say, it was going in anyway. And I think that's when the questions really started coming up about the linesman as well, because if he's onside, it is only just.
Who are we talking about here?
Rodriguez.
First
No,
goal.
nowhere near offside. The ball's come backwards to him.
It can't have gone backwards.
It's gone forwards.
It can't have gone backwards because we were on the line.
He weren't.
He may have tried to head it backwards, but the ball has gone forwards.
Wow. For me, the ball
either way,
it's behind the ball when it's played, so they can't be offside.
I don't know. Rules change that often. I'm not sure we can be, to be honest with you. I'm willing to accept it. I'm willing to accept it's onside. I'm not. That's not.
Yeah, that I think that out of all of out of both questionable balls, that one's the least questionable of the two.
Yeah,
shall we say? One thing I will say is the absolute stunner that was called offside, I think, was less offside than their third goal. Which, anyway.
Yeah, that was close. That was very close. But the angles weren't very good, were they? And, because surprisingly for a Premier League club. Adrek says, you're not fussed about when 3 players were marking nobody. Good God. I'm not saying that we couldn't have defended the goal better. What I'm saying is they stretched the ball really well. The ball initially from Goodmanson's a brilliant ball. The header back's even better. Sometimes these things are that good. These goals are going to happen. We could always do things better, but there's bigger fish to fry, I think, than worrying about that type of goal. That can happen. Mick, go on.
It shouldn't have happened.
No, it shouldn't have happened because there
shouldn't have been there. And I know I can go on about it, but this is the thing I find so difficult to get my head around and get over, and what makes me so frustrated about it, because the lack of consistency again from the officials it beggars belief. The fact that foul is not given on Ben Wiles is it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. It really is. He's booted him in chest and then tripped him up afterwards. A referee just nothing at all. And that's what I find so frustrating about it. And that's before we get on to the debacle at the other end of the match. But ultimately we went at him, and whether that and rattled them up to a point at times. They would argue they made defensive errors that cost them our goals. I would argue that we forced them into those errors, or certainly maybe not the errors themselves, but certainly psychologically put them on the back foot up to a point. And you go through social media today and you look at some of the more sort of reasonable comments from both Rotherham and Burnley supporters together, and there's quite a few saying that we're probably the best side that they played this season, or maybe not the best side, but certainly given more of a scare than anybody else has this season. So I've got no complaints about the Rotherham United performance of Wednesday night, none at all, for any of it personally. We did as much as we possibly could, but that in and of itself is frustrating as well.
Yeah, it is. Where we got some comments. Stephen Adams, the stats show we gave away 4 fouls all game. Wiles, Barlasser, and Bramble times 2. 4 fouls, 1 red card.
The point that Stephen's making there is we gave away 4 fouls and got 4 yellow cards.
Yeah. No, yeah.
How's that work? How does that work?
Yeah. Mathrax1 says Rotherham's attack was brilliant and Burnley weren't playing at best. Poor passing and defence from Burnley, but the constant time wasting and dirty play from Rotherham came back to bite you. We'll probably come on to that in a moment. We'll
pick that apart because there's a couple of points in there to pick apart, and they're interesting points as well. So yeah, we can pick that apart in a bit. Well, we can, because some of it's right and some of it I would argue against.
Yeah. Another positive, Chio comes back on 5 weeks off, whatever it's been. Replaced as Washington, Danny. And I suppose before we move on, Washington was brilliant. I would have thought I would work Washington as a lone man. But other than if it weren't for a stunning save in the first half, we go 2-0 up from a brilliant attacking from hats off to Washington for doing the dirty work, to be honest with you, because I thought he was brilliant.
Oh yeah. I thought he was as well. I'm not sure whether he could do it for the full 90, and that's why thankfully we've got Chio there now. But yeah, Washington really did command that front line himself, but he didn't force Wiles to stay behind him, if that makes sense. Like him and Wiles sort of interchanged quite well. I think that might be down to experience. Washington saying I don't always have to be the front man. You can play the cam slightly more in front of me and then just keep rotating it round as position suits. But yeah, stunning save from their keeper. Bit of praise for Burnley. Oh, what's happening? I feel faint. But yeah, praise for Burnley. Their keeper pulled off an amazing save that stopped little old Rotherham going 2-0 up.
I should say his kit is terrible. I don't know what it's like silver and then 80s wallpaper on top. It were really strange.
Yeah, it was very strange, but design team, each to their own. I do like Burnley's home kit though. Just putting it out there. I do like that kit.
I don't mind it, yeah.
Just saying. But yeah, truth be told, I was a little bit worried seeing Washington as the lone man when the lineup was announced. But those concerns were put to bed more or less straight away because he just played that role excellently. We sort of see that position as being a bit more of a he shall not be named who went to Chef Wednesday or a Tom Eaves sort of role where it's the big man who collects the ball, holds it up, and then the off runner picks it up as he runs beyond him. So to have a shorter striker in Connor Washington was more of a runner rather than a holder up of the ball. It's the system sort of shouldn't work, but it did with Washington because he pressed enough and he ran enough and he got stuck in enough where he made it work. And with a team like Burnley, they have got some big lads at the back, so the aerial threat wouldn't have worked. So I think Matt Taylor's got that right by playing Washington as your presser and your attacker rather than the big man holding up the play and waiting for the runners. So I think he's got that one right. And if, again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, if that's how we're going to play away from home, yeah, people like to have a whinge about the time wasting, but it is a little bit funny though, isn't it?
It's a lot funny, to be honest with you.
Well, can I just pick you up on one point there about Burnley's kit?
Go on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it looks like a 1980s bedspread and curtain combo.
I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah, they're sponsored by Classic Kits or whatever it is.
I'll be honest. I mean, they were horrible in '80s, and we're 40 years plus now. We're 40 years on now, and they haven't aged as well as you thought they might do.
I don't mind their kit. I thought the keeper's kit was horrendous, but I don't mind their outfield kit.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chio, 2 minutes, Mick. Like less than 2 minutes on the pitch. He's just got the X factor on it, and that's why he now is a striker. I know he filled in at right wing back in the end, but it shows how much we've missed him, doesn't it?
I don't know. Does it?
Well, nobody else does that, do they? Nobody
No,
else.
They don't. And he's got the pace, and he scored, and he did fantastically well with first touch at ball. Excellent. Really, really good. I think when you see it from a certain angle, he got a bit lucky getting it through defenders' legs, but it doesn't matter whatsoever. You know, his first touch at ball, he comes on, he runs at defenders, and he causes them nightmares. So it's good to have him back because it is something different up front that we have been lacking. So I just hope that he comes back with a bit of a vengeance and you know his work rate doesn't sort of drop as it did before he got injured a little bit at times. So absolutely, it's great to have him back. Definitely. And when that went in, I know that neighbours round again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the first goal with Wiles. I just laughed. I barely celebrated. I laughed because it was Ben Wiles that scored. It just had to be. And I probably celebrated the Chio goal. I don't mind in that one. Then came carnage, to be honest with you. Then came the issues. Danny, let's start with the first yellow card on Cohen Bramble. There's two yellow cards in the game worth talking about. The first one's Cohen Bramble, which he gets booked right in front of old Vinny. If that's anywhere else on pitch, he don't get booked. The reason he got booked is because of Vincent Kompany's reaction. And Vincent Kompany was clever. He knew exactly what we were doing. He made a big deal out of it. And then as soon as the yellow card came out, he calmed back down. He even apologised to Cohen Bramble for kicking off. So Kompany's known exactly what he's done. And it's just weak refereeing. It's not a yellow card, that first one for me. I disagree if you like. It's not a yellow card.
It's very harsh. Very, very harsh. I mean, you have seen him given before, but it's very, very harsh. And like I said, I think Kompany's reaction has influenced the referee a little bit, but that's what football's about now, you know, buying things that get the little advantage to your team. I think it's gamesmanship. I think it's in one sense, but if we don't want to get fined, we call it gamesmanship. Mate.
No, gamesmanship because there's no such word. It's cheating.
Okay.
Okay,
well, but when this comes back, I'm not being fined for saying Vincent Kompany's a cheat. He is, but I'm going to call it gamesmanship.
It's not what I said, but yeah.
But all you need to do is look at Vincent Kompany's reaction, the referee giving the yellow card out, and then straight away Matt Taylor's reaction.
Matt Taylor's reaction was the best.
Yeah,
that
has to be made into a meme at some point because it is the perfect reaction. Hands on head, can't fathom what's just happened. And it's the fact that he's apologised to Cohen Bramble as well. It's like, you've definitely bought that. But as someone who's studied under Pep Guardiola at Man City, who himself is very dramatic on the touchline with certain things, he's learnt from one of the best at doing it. And he's now inflected that onto us. And as a club who's not dealt with the theatrics of the Premier League or Premier League managers that much, that's why to us it's such a what's the word I'm looking for? Such a volatile reaction to it.
Yeah. Shelley RFC says, but he's given the referee a decision to make. I don't think he has, to be honest with you. I think it's probably a foul. Probably. I don't think it's an obvious foul. I think it's probably a foul and nothing more. He's not cynical. He's not stopping from going anywhere. It's not excessive. It's not anywhere near being dangerous. I can't think of a reason to give it a yellow card, to be honest with you, other than the fact that Vincent Kompany wanted it to be.
You look at the referee's reaction when you watch the video. You know, the referee gives a foul and starts running away, and then he realises that it would appear he realises the reaction on the touchline and thinks, it must have been more serious than I first thought. I'll give him a yellow. That's how it appears. Obviously, we don't know. I don't think on that occasion he gave the referee a decision to make. No, I think I am of the view, and I'm not saying it's right, but I'm of the view that Vinny Boy was the one that gave the referee the decision to make, not Colin Bramall on that occasion. But you look at the comments that I've read about Burnley's management team view on Colin Bramall. They realised he was a danger to them. They knew that he was a danger. They realised that he was causing them all sorts of problems down that side going forward and stopping them causing lots of problems in defence. He was man at match, Colin Bramall, for me last night. It's red card or not, he was the man of the match. I thought it was outstanding. So that's another reason for them to cheat and try and get him sent off. You know, I don't mean that to sound like it does. It's just part and parcel of the way that people behave, managers and players behave. But yeah, I don't think he did give him a decision to make now. I don't think that decision came from what Colin Bramall did personally.
Agreed. Sean Green says cheating. Well said, Mick. Johnny says I thought the card was for Vinny. It's disgraceful.
Yes, I did at the time as well.
Yeah, I think this goes with the second one. I think the fourth official's given both, especially the second one. If you look at the second decision, the second yellow card, the referee spends a lot of time looking in that direction. Now he's either waiting for a thumbs up from company, which I think is obviously very unlikely, or he's talking to somebody through his headset, which I think was the fourth official, and I think the fourth official gave the first one as well. I could be wrong.
In terms of that second one, my immediate reaction was that's a yellow card.
Mine was as well.
Immediate. So on that occasion, he has given the referee a decision to make. However, it is not a yellow card. It is not a foul. If it is going to be a foul, it's a foul on Colin Bramall, not the other way around. However, that is not how it appeared at first sight, and the referee's got one shot. He's got one shot. If you want to talk about cheating, that's why Colin Bramall got sent off. That's why he got the second yellow card, because of the reaction of the clown, the clown Burnley player, because his reaction was beyond embarrassing. He's throwing his head back, his arms up in the air before he's even hit floor, and then he's rolling about, thrashing floor, when all he's done in actual fact, in reality, and it's there for everybody to see on video, all he's done is kicked Colin Bramall in the thigh. But when you boil that incident down, Colin Bramall has got both his hands behind by his side. He's all he's doing is slowing his run. He's stopping his run. He's not trying to play the ball. He's not trying to play the man. He is simply just there. And the Burnley players followed through, kicked him, and then thrown himself about like something pathetic.
Spot on, mate.
Off. So that's what and it's things like that I as far as I'm concerned, he's just plain cheating. It has to be cheating because he's not injured in the way that he's claiming to be injured. Therefore, it's cheating. Because if he's claiming to be that injured, it can only be for one reason if he's not injured, and that's to get the player sent off. That's the only reason it can be like that. So, but having said all that, I can see why the referee gave him a yellow card, because I would have done.
That's where you can. I'm not going to level criticism on Colin Bramall because he essentially didn't do anything wrong because I think everything you just mentioned. But I can see exactly why the referee's given it. I agree, Mick. If I'm the referee, I'd probably give the same decision.
Yeah.
Although if I had given the first decision, I am second guessing. I'm second guessing everything. You know what I mean? You've got to. Because he clearly wasn't sure about the first yellow card, you could see the conversation he was having, and you could see the conversations he was having for the second one. I agree. I agree with Mick. I can see why he's giving it, but obviously, Danny, I'll let you have your 2 cents on this one. It's not a second. It shouldn't be a yellow. Neither are yellows, really, realistically.
Before I give my answer to the Court of Appeal, I'm going to crack a beer open. Bear with. Right. Cohen Bramall's second yellow card, he doesn't touch their player. Their player kicks him. I've just watched the replay back from the TV angle, just to make sure my argument is justified. On the TV angle, it looks like Cohen Bramall effectively runs into him, right? And but if you watch it closely, he's in the process of slowing down from making the pressing run. And from my angle behind where it happened, it were only about 20, 25 yards in front of where I was. Cohen Bramall doesn't touch him. He stops in time. The players connected with Cohen Bramall from the follow through of him kicking the ball. He's felt the contact and gone down like a sack of spuds to try and get Cohen Bramall sent off because he was a threat down that left side. There's no way on earth that is a yellow card. Even the Sky commentator said it wasn't a yellow card. And I had a qualified referee stood next to me. It wasn't Howard Webb, before anyone says anything. But he is a qualified ref, and he was giving that referee some stick, saying it is the worst refereeing performance he's seen. He's lost his bottle. And this lad sometimes says, like the likes of Gavin Ward and Oliver Langford, he calls them out when they've had really good games and been fair and consistent. Whereas he said this guy had lost the game completely and it went into Burnley's favour. We'll get onto the conversation about how many minutes we were owed for time wasting in a minute, because again, this lad was keeping the time that he thought should have been added on as a respectable refereeing decision. Cohen Bramall now can't take part in the Norwich game because it's a 2 yellow red card suspension. So it's only 1 game. But unfortunately, we can't appeal it. We can only complain about it.
Which is worth nothing.
Nothing at all. I'm just gutted for Cohen Bramall personally, because like you've said, Matt, I don't think he did anything wrong in that game. He's been a victim of an overreacting manager and an absolutely appalling decision. And I think that's why the away end clapped him off, because we knew he didn't deserve it. Some of us didn't even realise he had been booked before. We thought it was Vincent Kompany that had been booked, and then only found out it was Cohen's second yellow when he got sent off.
Yeah.
So it puzzled me.
Yeah. This has taken it's not even a split opinion. Geraldine Simpson, having seen the replay, Bramall made no contact that can be seen from where the away fans were sat as well. Pound would ask if it can be overturned. No, because them's the rules. Nicholas Skidmore, and I think this is also a factor. I think the pace that Bramall is running at makes it look worse as well. And I think that's possibly right as well, because obviously we know all my quick is. It does look worse than nothing, because nothing happened.
I think the bottom line is, Matt, I don't think you can criticise the referee for giving him a yellow card for that. I genuinely don't, because he's got one opportunity to see it, and we've both said your first view of it, that's a yellow.
Yeah.
But the reality is different. But he's put himself in that position. He's given himself no choice now by the stupid decision the first time. So yeah, it's annoying. Yeah, it's frustrating. But yeah, I can see why he was sent off. But again, if the Burnley player just gets up and gets on with it, he's probably just going to get a free kick, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. Former Premier League players throwing themselves around like that.
Honestly, mate, it absolutely boils my blood.
Well, get ready for Saturday then.
Good save.
Get ready for Norwich.
And we've got Norwich coming Saturday. I mean, that's just going to be... Doesn't sit near me on Saturday. Whatever you do, a word of advice, don't sit near me.
Danny, I'm coming to sit with you, mate.
Okay, you can sit with me and my lass. Oh no, she's going to say a whole new side to me against Norwich. I'll be up when I've got Barry screaming. Oh dear.
Good challenge, Simpson. Just simply, the rules are rubbish. Some of them are. Yes, you're absolutely right. And then again, it's all interconnected. Obviously, the red card happens, Danny, and then the time. Let's call it what it is. Time wasting starts. Let's not beat around the bush. We started wasting time, as every single football club in the entire Football League and Premier League and non-league would do. You're 2-1 up, away from home, against top of the league with 10 men. You're going to start wasting time. It's going to happen. We're not pretending it didn't happen, are we? But Do you think we took it too far? Do you think the 10 minutes was justified? What's your view on our dark arts, as it's been referred to?
I don't think it's dark arts at all. I think it's clever tactics. You've just put it straight in black and white there. 2-1 up against top of the league with 10 men. You're not going to try and go for a third, are you?
Yeah.
You're going to slow the game down, keep the team with more people on the pitch than you at arm's length, and effectively dig in. That's more or less the only thing you can do, unless you get a lucky counter-attack and get a lucky third goal. And that's what the vast majority of any team in the Football League and National League would do in that situation. I've seen people saying, when did we become Wickham? We're not, because we're not time wasting from the 24th minute.
You're not taking a draw.
Exactly. We're not there just for the point. And if we score one before the other team, we'll just sit on that instead. We actively responded to Burnley's equaliser in the second half and went in front. And then we had to actively respond to us going to 10 men, which is to sit behind the ball, keep Burnley at arm's length, and effectively defend with our lives. It didn't equate to 10 minutes at all. I had 2 watchers, one on my own that I started after Colin Bramble went off, thinking, right, let's do a count and see how many we get added on. I counted at least 7 minutes, and that's from after the red cards. My mate had his going, and he said, I've got just over 8 minutes, so I'll say 9. And the referee held up 10, and we played 12, and they put the score in the 11th. And I think there was a collective shriek of shock when we saw 1-0 on the board. Because we don't even get 10 minutes added on when Wickham players. So there's something gone amiss there if that's the case. But I don't think it's dark arts at all. I think it's us responding to the situation that we're in, because we saw the same against Stoke. Right, let's not pretend it's not happened before. It's a tactic where we've gone, right, we are in a winning position, and all the points are vital for us this season. So if we're in that winning position, we are going to try and finesse the opposition into either frustrating them or to do something silly or just to keep them at arm's length. And a club in our position in this league, that's what you sort of have to do. You have to fight for every point. And if every point we're fighting for means we do employ some finessing tactics, but it means we stay up at the end of the season, fair enough. But that's not just us doing that. That's more or less every promoted team that's come out of League One is also doing that, because it gives them the foothold to build on the next season. And yeah, another one. It didn't work at Coventry. Yeah, we got a point out of it though, and to win a very unfortunate penalty.
To a soft penalty. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it should have worked.
But that's the thing. Sometimes it works, like at Stoke. Sometimes it sort of works, like at Coventry, and sometimes you get caught out with it, like at Burnley. It's not a refined tactic at all. It's a tactic that you have to dig in and hope works. Not hope as in the sense of praying to the whatever God you believe in sort of thing, is in a thing of, I hope we hold out. Because like I say, every point's important, and the winning of every point is important. And when you've scored 2 goals already against Burnley and you've gone down to 10 men, that's when you really do need to dig in, because you think you can get something. But unfortunately, football is a very cruel game sometimes.
It is. Ray Spiller says the biggest time wasting was when Cuffy got subbed. He was near the touchline and the opposition but walked towards the dugout. Now, that was the referee that told him to do that. And this is something that often, I don't know if it's in the laws or not, but when there is a substitution for the away team, the general consensus is don't make them go off at the nearest point, because they've got to walk past the home fans, and that potentially becomes a safety issue. So that's why he was told to go there. And to be fair to him, he did run off at that point as well. He didn't stroll off, did he? He did eventually run. But we've got a few people in Mick saying basically Norton Cuffy was guilty. I can't find the comments now, to be honest with you, but Norton Cuffy was guilty of time wasting. Did he take it too far?
No, not at all. I mean, we know that he's carrying an injury because he's been out with it, and he's only just come back. That it's obviously still not bang on right. He's not got the pace that he had in the early stages of his Rotherham United career. So there's obviously some injury there somewhere along the line, because this is not the first game this has happened in where he's gone down and had to be kind of cajoled back onto the pitch a little bit. So he's obviously concerned that he's got an injury. Yes, I accept that some of it might have been game management, time wasting, whatever you want to call it. I mean, to pick up on what Dennis said there, he's absolutely right. And no football fan in the country, I'm sure, when you're 2-1 up, down to 10 men against top of the league, thinks you're going to go out going to continue an all-out attack. Because if you do think that, you're watching the wrong game. It's not going to happen, is it? My interest is more of when did this suddenly become a thing for the referee adding time on for time wasting, because it's not been done before.
Yeah,
it's not. I've genuinely, hand on heart, can't remember a time when that's happened, and I can base that on the fact that for the last 3 seasons we've played Wycombe Wanderers, and if the referee genuinely, when you play Wycombe, if the referee was adding time on at the end for time wasting, the games would have gone on for 120, 130 minutes. So I don't understand why this has suddenly become a thing. Well, I do. Obviously, it's little old Rotherham beating top at league 2-1. We need to give them a bit of extra time. I know that's a stupid thing to say, but that's how it feels at times. We're going to clamp down on time wasting. We're going to clamp down on time wasting. We do it for four matches by managing it throughout the game, booking players who are time wasting and getting on with it. Then we stop all of a sudden and we don't do it anymore. And then we do it by stealth. We just wait while end of game and then put 10 minutes on. Well, what is it? It needs to be consistent. If you're going to stamp down on it, stamp down on it and stamp down on it in the same way. I don't know where those 10 minutes came from. I don't. I genuinely don't. I mean, we didn't have 10 minutes against Coventry when I think how many substitutions were there in the second half? 8?
Something like that, yeah. Well, the whole one's a better example. In the second half, what were the 4 goals, 10 substitutions?
Yes.
And he played 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. At the most, it was 4. And I think that's your buzzword is consistency.
Yeah.
And if you think there was 10 minutes out of time on Tuesday, I don't necessarily have a problem. You could have argued 7 or 8. I think you could have argued. But if you want to play 10, that's absolutely fine. But can we do this on every single game?
No,
well, that's exactly. And that's the problem. It's not consistent. If that's a different referee, and there's different interpretations of rules, and I get that. But when it comes to time, there is no different interpretations. There is one. There is only one interpretation when it comes to time. So there cannot be a difference in 10 minutes to 3 minutes. Let's use those 2 games as an example. It doesn't make any sense. I don't buy it, and it don't wash. There needs to be more consistency on it. Exactly.
Is there a policy? Do the PGMOL or PG, whatever they're called, I can't remember, do they have a policy on how are we going to deal with time wasting within the game? Because it's a big thing. We're going to stamp down on it this season. We're going to clamp down on it. We're going to stop it happening. It's a big thing. Is that all we did? Just say, it's a big thing, let's deal with it? Or did we come up with a policy and a means and a method of dealing with this sort of behaviour on pitch? Because clearly we didn't.
Yeah.
Because one referee allows 10 substitutions and 4 goals in 3 minutes. And another referee just thinks, I'll put 10 on. It would appear, because they've been a bit naughty and a bit time wasted. Well, we wouldn't have been time wasting if you'd have got your decisions right in first place. Because we'd have still had 11 men and we'd have still been going for a game. I don't know. It's frustrating. It's frustrating so much. And I keep going on about it. I know it's a difficult job. It's hard. Which is why I'm not going to call him out for that second yellow card. It's hard, but you've got to be consistent in applying rules across every game. Because if you don't consistently apply the rules across every game, some teams will get an advantage over others. And that's not right.
Yeah, I think Leeson says we never get 11 minutes added when we're losing 2-1, as an example. but certain clubs get in their favour. I think he's bottled not only Vincent Kompany factor and the Craig Bellamy factor, he was on the bench, obviously, the crowd. I think he allowed the crowd to get on his back, and I think he started reacting to that crowd as well.
What you said earlier on, the referee lost the game probably before, but certainly at the sending off. I mean, there's more incidents to talk about.
I've got 45 minutes in, we've not even
talked 45 minutes in, and there's other incidents to talk about. I mean, first of all, for me, the stamp on Chio.
That's a shock.
It's bizarre.
Lino couldn't be any closer.
No, it couldn't. I mean, the only way the linesman could have been closer to that happening was if it were him that stamped on Chio. Yeah, he was so close to it.
Yeah.
And nothing. He gets a yellow card. But he gets a yellow card probably for his reaction to the Rotherham player's reaction, not for the stamp. That for me is a straight red.
Yeah. VIR gives that. I know we criticise VIR gives that as a red card.
100%, yeah. And then are you going on to goal, or do you want to go on to the foul given for Chio by allowing the Burnley player to climb on his back?
I mean, that one, there's a flailing arm for Chio. I'm happy again with that one. I'm happy either way.
Did the flailing arm come before he was climbed all over, or after he was climbed all over?
Well, that's
first.
I'm watching the clip now, so I can let you know. So let's see. So in this clip, Chio, ball comes over from one of our players. Chio gets climbed all over. Then it looks like he sticks his up. He gets a flailing arm. Their player goes down. The lino doesn't give the foul. The lino gives offside against Chio.
Did he?
Yep. If you watch his flag, he doesn't wave his flag that it's a free kick. He gives an offside by the looks of it.
Oh
no, I'm wrong. I just no, the clip didn't pan quick enough. He does wave his flag about. How we gonna say? Good grief! Then either Chio is a complete finesser and he's just kept running with the ball, or he's not heard the whistle. That's subject to debate. And then their player just blatantly shoves him in the back, which I think, even though play has been already stopped, that is still a booking.
He did book him for that, to be fair.
Yeah, so fair enough on that one. Did he book Chio as well for his flailing arm? I'm not sure.
I don't think he did book Chio.
No, but I think the flailing arm is a little bit subjective to give the free kick for them, to be honest.
So let me get this right. So he's given a free kick for basically a forearm into the face of the
event. And Chio's on the turn as well.
But not
yeah. I see what Mick's saying. Mick's saying is, if you've done that, if you've flailed your arm, it's a booking, isn't it?
And then books Barlasser for his reaction to Chio getting blatantly shoved to the floor.
Yeah. Anyway, move on. Because
that's the point I'm saying. He completely lost it there. I genuinely don't think he knew what he was doing. He was it was a bit headless chicken stage.
The second goal. Go on, sorry.
And then the final one, of course, is the throw-in that should have been our throw-in, which led to their winner. But
we'll cover that now. Just hats off to the second goal for Burnley. That's a stunner. What do you want to do? That's one of those things. These are a quality team with some quality players at that end of the pitch. Certainly at that end of the pitch, it's just a stunning goal. There's no point talking about it any further. Well done. Hats off to the lad.
Yeah. Good player.
Yeah, very good player. Goal number 3 had a significant amount more controversy. The ball gets kicked out of play by Wes kicking it at the Burnley player. Can't remember where now. There's no defending this one, Danny. We can say the second yellow card is debatable. We can say certain other things about time wasting. It's debatable. This is a shocker. Lino, and it's difficult to know whether Lino's had a shocker or a ref's had a shocker, because Lino doesn't put his flag up to make a decision. The referee makes the decision. But as a team, they've had an absolute shocker.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think it doesn't just fall at... was it Doherty, the man in the middle?
Can't remember.
Lee
Doughty, right, okay. So it's not... Yeah, one in the middle.
Ref will Lee Doughty, yeah.
Yeah, Lee Doughty. So I don't think it's just Lee Doughty. I think he has made a shocking decision on Bramble's second card but I think the team as a whole have had a bit of a mare, to be fair. Yeah, I don't know how he's missed that throw in. Like, he stood close enough to it that even if that's a position and you're being a linesman for under 14s, you know which way to give that. You know, it's been kicked one player to the other. The ball has then changed direction after hitting the other player, so it's a throw to the team that's in yellow. But the lino just goes, no, it's a throw to them. That it's clearly come off you. It's like, what? And it's got to the point where it's granted it's a new account, but it's still funny. Did the ref get it wrong? And it's just yes. It was a throw in the other way, and it led to Burnley's winner. Of course, it is. But yeah, can we talk about Norwich now? Because I'm getting sick and tired of talking about Burnley. It's been ingrained in my head all day, and I want to talk about a different team.
It's cathartic.
Yes, it's like therapy. Geraldine Simpson says there's another foul in Wales in the build-up.
Yep.
Yes, you're right. Mike the Miller says, guys, can we cut out the attacks on the referee? We time wasted, and in the end we paid for it. We're not attacking the referee. What we're doing is we're essentially assessing his performance, and we're saying it's not up to the standards. In our opinion, it's not up to the standards. If Rotherham United play badly, we're going to say we play badly. Look at watch the review we did after the Cardiff game. We really laid into the Rotherham United because they were rubbish. There's 4 or 5 incidents from the officiating team. Let's not lay it all on the referee because obviously the liner, both liners are parts to play. If they've been bad and made mistakes, we'd call them out and say they've made mistakes. That's only right. The impact the referee and officials had impacted the game, and you could argue, and we are arguing, that they essentially cost us at least a point. At least a point. So we are going to cover that in that sense. Mick, do you want to have anything to say on the throwing incident that Danny's not covered? Because it's just bad.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised there was an incident just shortly before that where the ball went out of play by at least 6 inches, probably about a foot, that the lino said had stayed in. I mean, it was so clear you could see the running track between the ball and the white line. So you know, he wasn't switched on. He gave the Barnes goal as offside. How we saw that, I don't know, because I don't think it was. It was so close, and it was closer to being onside for me than their final goal. There was very little to choose between those two goals as to which one was offside. If one was offside, they were both offside for me. But you know, that's how it is. That's a difficult decision. They are very, very tough decisions, particularly for the goal, because obviously it's the shots comes in, it's bounced back. You know, it's a tough decision for the linesman to make. However, we should never have got to that stage. Wes, bless him, should not have been arguing with Lino. You know, he's got to take it. He's got to take it to that point. He's got to take it.
Says, what's your reaction to Hardy getting on with the game? He went to get the ball for his throw-in.
Yeah, he did.
And waited half a second too long.
Come on. He also then went to linesman and started arguing with him instead of picking his player up, which is what he should have done, because he knows he's not going to change his mind. It's been given. So Wes has got to take a little bit on the chin for that. You know, he has. The defending for that wasn't particularly great at all. That ball should never have been put back. So again,
Victor will be very disappointed as well.
Well, I'm going to say that firstly, the cutback shouldn't have been allowed to be done. Victor will be incredibly disappointed that he didn't hold that, because it was a tame shot, a very, very tame shot, and it just squirmed out. And then it's arguable whether or not it was offside or otherwise. But you know, it is what it is, isn't it? At that point, it just felt like we were playing next goal winner, didn't we? That's how it felt. Danny pointed out we're now 11 minutes into 10 minutes injury time. It's just bizarre, but anyway, what can you do?
Yeah, I want to bring it back, Danny, to just before injury time. 2-1 up. We get a free kick for the incident we talked about where Chio eventually gets stamped on in something like the 89th minute. We had spent the minute or two before that with Chio taking the ball into the corner and essentially trying to keep the game. We get a free kick, which is essentially almost in the corner. just before time goes up on the board. And we decide to put the ball into the box. And from a game management point of view, I cannot for the life of me work out why that's not just gone into corner. Because we didn't send any big boys up. It's not like we sent any big defenders up. So essentially what we were doing, and bear in mind how quickly Burnley did and can break, we just gave them a free attack. That ball's got to go in the corner, even if it kills just 90 seconds. You've got to take that into the corner. That's a real failure. I don't know whose part it is, whether it's Matt Taylor or the players. Somebody's got to say, right, just take it corner. Chio can hold it there for a minute, can't he? That also cost us, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've already mentioned what's happened with Victor as well, how he's spilled the ball. But then if you factor in, it's been raining, that ball is very slippery. Even with the modern goalkeeper gloves we've got now, which are extremely sticky, it doesn't help you in the rain. So Victor's tried to do what he does best, which is try and smother it and catch it. I don't think he's tried to parry it. I honestly think he's tried to grab hold of it and he's just not grasped it. And then unfortunately it's gone into the path of their player. But yeah, with the whole thing in the corner, just short free kick in the corner, let them come to you.
Straight and all.
Yeah, exactly. Because there weren't exactly that many players for them ready to pounce on that ball if we'd have played it short. Yeah. But again, that factors down to in the moment decision making, which again we got wrong. I think I have just had a text through saying from one of my journalism friends saying the fourth official has reportedly told Matt Taylor that they got the decision wrong for the throw-in, and he actually apologised to Matt Taylor saying we got that one wrong. Which I'm sorry if you can hear snoring in the background, by the way. My dog's asleep. It's heard me rattling on about Burnley and he's nodded off. So even if the fourth official has noticed it and apologised to Matt Taylor, surely if they're giving a throw in one way, should be saying, "Are you sure?" Yeah. Because if the fourth official's gone, I thought that went their way. Are you sure? At least ask the question, are you sure? Because you're meant to work as a refereeing team. It's not just one of you going, I think that's such and such. Yes, referee, that's fine. We're just the linesmen with the wavy flags. We don't have to have any input. But yeah.
Let's have a committee making a decision on a throw-in, though, can you? You know what I mean? It's given as it's given, and it's given wrongly, but...
Yeah, exactly. A lot of Burnley fans said the throw-in decision was wrong.
Yeah,
as well.
That happens week in, week out.
Yeah.
So not quite as blatant as that a lot of the time, but when it comes to throw-ins, a lot of it is by its nature guesswork. Two players making contact with the ball at the same time. It just added to the frustration. I think that was basically the cherry on top, weren't it, of all the other frustrations, the decisions that went against us. But look, let's wind it up and just say we performed exceptionally well. And if we can perform like that away from home for the rest of this season, then we ain't going to be anywhere near the relegation zone. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Absolutely. We were, a lot of people, a lot of fans anyway, were expecting absolute tonking from Burnley. I think if they'd have said to you, Burnley are going to win 3-2 before the game, you would have gone, hey, we've played well there. Yeah. I think it's like a little bit like Coventry. It's the mannerisms of which we've dropped points, which has frustrated us, and it's not purely down to our open play performance. It's to other contributing factors as well. Yeah. Which is a shame, but if we play like we did against Burnley and keep playing like that and strengthening the January transfer window, we'll be fine. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We spent an hour on this. Some people may be frustrated. There's been 5 goals and a red card and two more controversial decisions. Much more to talk about than a terrible 1-0 in Cardiff, wasn't it? So, let's move on. Anything else? Final call. Anything else for the Burnley game?
No. Come on, move it.
Move it. That's fine. We shall move on. So if you weren't very happy about some whinging, moaning Premier League players from Wednesday night, get ready for Saturday because Norwich City come to town. And every report I've heard from Norwich City this season is that they are exactly the same as they have been in previous seasons. And they are very soft. They are a decent team. but will make things difficult for us in terms of game management, if you want to use that gamesmanship type thing, as we've mentioned before. The referee on this one is Dean Whitestone. He refed us in Matt Till's first game, so not long ago. The 1-1 draw at home to Millwall did give us the penalty, which I can't remember the incident now, to be honest with you. I've noted down the penalty, but I can't remember the incident. It was the one where Barlas had only just scored the penalty. Don't remember anything particular from the game, so that's good. That's good. I don't know why, but I feel like this guy is a decent ref from memory. I may be proven wrong.
He's going to need one. He's going to need to be.
Yeah. He needs to be strong. And let's see whether he is or not. It's a game I quite like, Danny, to be honest with you. Obviously, in the previous management, there's been a semi-sideshow with obviously the links. Sidestep that one.
So you've been in trouble on other podcasts for mentioning him, haven't you?
I spoke to the Pinkham, which is the Norwich podcast, and I mentioned our previous manager's name like 5 or 6 times. I feel like I couldn't sidestep it like we do on ours, because if I just started referring to him as the former manager, they might think I'm being a bit, structured for the conversation. So I have £6 into the pot from all the boss fish from me, that one. But I quite like the game because Norwich always bring loads of fans. I like the colours. I like the yellow. It makes everything brighter and bigger. And I don't know. Other than the fact they throw themselves all over, it's normally quite a good game. The Norwich game. It's normally quite entertaining. Anyway, history tells us anyway.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it. I do hope Howard Webb is John Breckin's guest of honour again, so he can go after the referee at half time and have a word with him. Like he did against, who was it now? I forget who it was, but he definitely had a word with him at half time. But yeah, it should be a very, very good game, I think. Like you've already said, the Norwich game was often billed as the previous manager's boyhood club against his current club. We've now got rid of that. So maybe that takes the shackles off us a little bit, and we can actually play to a strength and not the occasion per se, at least. But hopefully it's a it's a strong response to losing on the road, because strangely we put in a good performance on the road and then not been as good the following game at home. So hopefully with a high energy, big effort loss away from home, we can go, right, we need to kick it up another gear and go again at home. Yeah, we've still got another 2 games to play until the World Cup after Norwich, but hopefully it's a game where we just pull our socks up and go, right, let's go at him again. Matt Taylor has already mentioned about the issues with players blowing a lot in games at the minute due to the intensity, which sort of raises questions about the previous manager maybe running him a bit too hard, being very much a fitness-orientated manager. And maybe Matt Taylor's got a fresh pair of eyes and gone, actually, these lads are knackered.
It's a squad size issue as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But hopefully he puts the right pieces together and actually works around that issue. And maybe, just maybe, we could do a Norwich on Norwich. Maybe we go down softly for a change. That frustrates them. That causes issues. That causes them to make mistakes. And then we nip in with Chio or Washington or whoever and then poke a goal in. You never know.
You never know. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, something I think at the previous regime, I feel it's why the hamstrings blow so much. Too much sprinting, yeah, potentially.
Not really a dig, just an observation.
Yeah, I think personally, it's more of a squad size issue. I think we created such a small squad. You've got not enough options in certain areas, except defence, except central defence. We've got quite a lot of options in there. Mick, I know you love these, so we're going to give you to them. Last 4 games against Norwich have all been defeats, and we have 1 win in our last 19 games against Norwich City, as according to 11v11 stats. They are going to be a decent team, but they're not Burnley. We saw what we did to Burnley. These aren't Burnley. These are an inconsistent team. They drew with QPR. They've had a couple of really inconsistent results. I suspect at some point they'll click, but they haven't clicked yet. So this is in theory, this is a really good time to be playing a team like Norwich, where they still seem to be finding their feet back at this level.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, and hopefully we'll be able to get one over on them this time. It's about time we did. I don't think any of certainly the home. Well, and then last time in the Championship, the away game, we deserve to lose necessarily. I think we've been unlucky on many occasions. I mean, if I remember right, there was a handball on the line or something, or a disallowed goal for a stupid
from Robertson,
which were for a alleged foul on goalkeeper. If I'm right, I don't know whether I'm right. It was about a week after the assault on Victor at Barnsley, I think.
No, it was a few days after the Bournemouth game where Jefferson Lerma had spent the entire game. And then the Barnsley game may have been the week after, actually. It was very close together, I do remember.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't look forward to playing Norwich, I'll be honest. I really don't look forward to it. It frustrates the life out of me. It really does. And I alluded to it earlier on about the cheating, and then Norwich are, every single time that we've played them, there are at least two or three players within that squad that just there is no other way to describe them other than cheats. They spend the whole of the 90 minutes trying to trick the referee into giving them free kicks and getting players booked and stuff. It's just how they play. It would appear. I can only base that on my experience of the ones we've played them. I'm not saying that they might not do it any other time. I can't imagine that that's the case, that they wait to come to New York or wait to play Rotherham to do it. I'm sure that they do it most of the time. And having spoken to a couple of Sheffield United supporters I work with, that would appear to be still the case when they came up here last couple of weeks or so. So I don't like it. It really just annoys the life out of me. It's not football for me, so I'm not particularly looking forward to it, if I'm honest.
If you listen to Mick just then, that's a sneak preview of Sunday's episode. Their recent form's bang average. 1 win in the last 8, losing 5 of those. The last away win came at Blackpool. Yeah, inconsistent. In terms of players, I think it's worth pointing out they've still got Grant Hanley and Timu Pukki, who are obviously individually very good players, but Grant Hanley has the turning circle of boat. So you've got those type of players. We saw this against what team we play with massive defenders? We're Millwall.
Millwall, yeah.
We'd never tried to turn the defenders, did we?
No.
We never tried to use a bit of pace on them. Grant Hanley is an excellent defender in the air, but there's huge question marks over him on the floor. Get the ball in and around him. And I feel like that from a Matt Taylor point of view, Danny, that's more what he's trying to go towards. He's trying to use a bit more pace. He's trying to get in and around the defender's feet a little bit. And if that's what they've got, then that could work into Chio coming back in, and Chio and Wash maybe getting both starting to get that pace in and around him.
Yeah, I think so. I think we, like I mentioned before, excuse me, if anyone can remember that far back in this podcast, about Washington upsetting their back line by being nippy and not the big man up front. Now, if you've got Washington and Chio doing that at home, then that could cause all sorts of problems. We've actually seen that in their combination when they were up front together earlier in the season, and it could prove fruitful again. The only question mark is Chio ready for a start?
That's the question.
That is the one question. And by the looks of it, we are beginning to shift towards a 3-5-2 at home and then a 3-4-1-1 away. Is it a 3-4-1-1? Or a 3? Anyway, whatever. A 3-5-1-1 away from home.
Yeah.
And it's starting to just show the fruits of Matt Taylor's labour in trying to organise that system. Do I think Chio and Washington up top could cause issues against Norwich? Yes, absolutely. If Chio's not quite fit enough, possibly employ the same system that we normally would do away and then bring Chio on later on, potentially. But like you say, with their big back line, they're good in the air, very good in the air. So Tommy is the wrong shout. Get it on the floor, pace it, pressing, upset them, get in behind them, cause all sorts of problems. Pressing, it could prove very... I've lost my train of thought. It could prove very well for us. There we go. We'll say that.
Yeah, that'll do. Mike the Miller says, I think the crowd will play a big part on Saturday. We look knackered at the end on Wednesday and could run out of steam. That's when the fans are behind them. Yeah, I'm never going to be a fan of playing Wednesday, Saturday. I don't think it suits teams like us. I know everybody has the same thing, but it doesn't suit us. The energy we have to output in these games really doesn't suit us having such a short break. I know Norwich play Wednesday as well, but their drab, dull 0-0 against QPR, I don't think it would have taken as much out of them as it took out of us against Burnley. So there's going to be some rotation. Peter Kyoso wasn't in the squad on Wednesday, so could Peter Kyoso come back in? We saw Bruckner and Cuffy. I don't think he's been officially ruled out, but I think it's going to be a doubt for the game. Woody will probably come back in defence. There's no suspensions except Cohen Bramble is the only suspended player. Fergie wasn't even on the bench, so what we're going to do there, Mick? What are you going to plug that gap? That becomes a bit of a problem. You might have to chuck Wes there again.
It is a worry. Wes can play it. It's not his ideal. It's not an ideal place for him to be playing, is it? We know when he does make his mistakes, it tends to be in that when he's playing in that position. But yeah, he can cover it. It could be that it depends whether Norton Cuffy is able to play. If he's able to play, Norton Cuffy could cover it and bring Kyoso back on the right or Wes on the right. So there are options there. Yeah. It just depends on injuries and we don't know what level Shane Ferguson's at in terms of his recovery and fitness. So there are options.
Jonathan Simpson, silly question. Is Cohen back at 0 yellows because of the suspension? No. It basically goes, so for example, Grant Hall's on 5 yellow cards. There is a next level. So if he gets 10 yellow cards, it's a 2-game suspension. If he somehow manages to get 15 yellow cards, that's then a 3-game suspension. But
so Grant Hall's not available Saturday, is he?
No, he served it at Cardiff, didn't he?
No, he got another yellow last night, didn't he?
Yeah, but that's only 6 then, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, I thought that was his 5th last night.
No, because it was suspended for Cardiff, wasn't it, for 5 yellow cards?
Right, got you.
He got booked at Coventry, suspended for Cardiff. So he's now free. He can get as many yellow cards up to 10, but that
forgive me. I've lost a week. Forgive me.
I tell you what is most impressive. Ollie Rathbone's still on 4 yellow cards.
Yeah.
Somehow, I think he needs to get through Saturday to avoid the suspension as well. Saturday's the 19th game. So well done, Ollie. That's amazing. And he's not dropped off performance as well. I think that's important. He's not dropped his performance. We've gone long tonight. Phil Oxley says if we can't play 3 games, we may as well move on and throw the towel in. Yeah, I'm not saying we can't play 3 games a week. I'm saying it will impact certain teams more than others. I feel like it impacts us more than others because of how much energy we had to output on Wednesday night's game. It may prove to be wrong. Maybe we may come out all guns blazing, but I worry about the output from Wednesday to such a short turnaround to whatever day it's going to be, Saturday. Let's do some suspensions. Let's do some predictions. Danny, what are you predicting for Norwich and the Millers?
I think we're going to win 2-1.
Here we go. Now we're talking. That's what we want. Mick?
It depends which team turns up, doesn't it? If it's Cardiff, we're going to lose 7-0. If it's the Burnley game, if it's the team that, assuming that we play like we played against Burnley, I think it's going to be a pretty comfortable 2-0 victory to us.
Comfortable?
Yeah, I do. However, it depends which one turns up. So, but I'll go 2-0 Millers.
Mick, I think you need to start checking the percentage of the alcohol that you drink.
Yeah.
Trying to show a bit of confidence, and the referee's going to have a good game. He's not going to take any messing about. He's not going to take any diving and throwing themselves about. We're going to get in the faces. We're going to upset him. The confidence is going to go, and we're going to bang 2 in.
Okay, I'm going to go 2 on the Millers as well. As I mentioned, they've got Dean Smith as manager. I am personally not a massive Dean Smith fan. You look at his Aston Villa team when they played us at New York. When Jack Grealish had one of the best halves of football we've had a player have at New York Stadium. Without Jack Grealish, we beat that team, and that was a really, really good Aston Villa team. So that's the type of manager you got to come against. If he doesn't like it up him, he doesn't like it when things aren't going his way. So hopefully we can take advantage of that, especially when his team's in such inconsistent form. Russ Vernon says 2-0 to the Millers. Andrew Barlow says 101st minute winner. I hope he means for us. Sean Green says 1-0 to the Millers. Jelen Simpson says 1-0 and more grey hair for us fans.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we do. Dean Whitehouse says we have to stop the stupid time wasting Millers and beat Norwich 2-0 if they turn up. Yeah, if we're winning, if it's 0-0, we're not going to time waste. If it gets to 1-0 with 20 minutes left, there's a good chance we're going to start time wasting the game because that's what football teams do. Without me, I'm trying that sound like condescending. I'm not trying to be. That's just how football works.
We've had a couple of games where we've tried to manage the time. I accept Wickham way. We've had a couple, but it's only been a couple of games, and it's been built up now by away supporters and social media as if it's some sort of disease that we're suffering from. That this is all we do, and that's absolute garbage. Occasionally, yeah, we do it. But the set of circumstances where it's been most prevalent, i.e. the Coventry game and the Burnley game, are two sets of circumstances where just about any other team in the country would do the same thing because you're winning away from home against a team that's on top. I'm not saying it's right. I don't like it. And I've criticised other teams for doing it. But the bottom line is we're no worse than anybody else. In my view, we're no worse than anybody else.
I agree.
We can't talk about long ball anymore, can we? We can't. We can't call Rotherham a long ball team. We can't call them physical. What are we going to call them? And it just gathers momentum, doesn't it?
Mm.
Or maybe that's my inferiority complex. Maybe I'm wrong and not seeing it. But
I don't think we are. When we were trying to, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's fine. We've got on. Jellison says Victor's time waste is rubbing off on her kids. They brought it to grassroots. Big fan of that. I do.
You can't just say you're a big fan of it after I've just said what I've just said.
I'm a big fan of. I like that when we're watching two random teams. I like watching Atletico Madrid because there's always fireworks a minute away from it because they just annoy everybody. When it's not involving us, I love it. It's just great.
It's about the context of the game, and you can call it game management, call it time wasting, like Mike 61 Miller said there. You call it whatever you want to call it, but it's not something it's done in the context of each individual game.
Yeah, you don't set out to time waste from minute one.
No.
It's up to the referee to manage that, and I suppose he will claim he managed it. Anyway, come backwards. Yeah, let's stop this. It's silly now. Thank you all for putting up with us for an hour and 17 minutes. I hope it's been therapeutic, much like it has a little bit for us. I feel a little bit better. I will feel a bit better until probably 3:00 on Saturday when we go through it all again and the Rotherham United roller coaster. 3 more games before the month break, before the World Cup. If we could pick up a few more points, that'd be absolutely lovely between now and then. Danny, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for being with us tonight, and it's been fun, hasn't it?
Yeah, I feel a lot better now. It's a shame, really, because on Wednesday I was in such a good mood, and then Burnley happened, and I've had face on ever since. But now I feel a little bit better. Good.
I'm glad we can help. Mick, good luck on trying to get through Saturday without having a heart attack.
I'll do my best. I'm getting to that age now.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Please subscribe to your channel if you haven't already. We will be back on. Danny, is there going to be a vlog? Is there a vlog that you can put out that doesn't have a million swear words?
I'm actually going to put this one out. I think I'm going to sit down and edit it and see how much I'm screaming towards the end, purely for your own enjoyment.
Yeah. We'll be back. The instant reaction live on Saturday. Oh, well, it won't be live. Instant reaction will be back on Saturday evening. If you want to be on the instant reaction, anybody's more than welcome. Let us know if you fancy coming on for a 10-minute chat end at game. Tell you where you can meet us if you fancy. If you don't worry about it. That'll be on Saturday evening. Sunday, we'll back obviously the podcast Sunday evening and out on live Monday morning as we preview a South Yorkshire derby finally on Tuesday. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Ravel, vicious, but brilliant. Mule with it. Wood's got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again. The magic man has come up with another trick. Well, here's a chance to seal it.